What's up YouTube, Alex Aaron here. It's freezing outside, dead of winter, freeze my ass off, but today we're gonna take a step inside Video Games New York, check out what they got.
Yeah, I'm Giulio Graziani, I'm the owner of Video Games New York. I come from Italy. But you know, I come from completely different business, completely different background. This is like, one of these things that happen in life. I had an internet company, and in 2001, September 11, pretty much the market of internet crashed. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, why we don't partner? We open a video game store." And that's how the thing started. After the partnership didn't go in my way, and I ended up, being the owner of what became, with a different name, became Video Games New York. And at the beginning it was really bad. It's like survival. You get to the point, like, this is the typical immigrant story, you come and you have to find a way to stay. The store in one point was under $300,000 in debt. So at that point you have to choice: or you survive or you die. So you leave, you go back, something I didn't want to do, or you make it happen. And that's when I had to, create a concept, create a logic of why people would come to spend money on my store and not somewhere else. I'm Italian, so something that they teach you at school from when you're a kid is that what is today has a history. That's when I really start to ask myself, what is video games? Yeah, I can play again, but I really don't know enough about video games. Let's go back and let's study the history of video games. Let's understand how we became to what we are, what we sell today. It's very difficult. It's getting every day more difficult to find product. The amount that they produce of certain systems is limited. So more people buy and keep it, less they are in the market. You need to develop a huge network, so people know about you. So when they find something, they call you, or people come at the store and sell, or people who have a warehouse in the middle of nowhere and they call you and say, "Hey, by the way, I opened a container here that was there for 20 years and we found 1,000 pieces of this. Do you want it?" The point, you need to have the money and the space to put it, because that is going to be once in a lifetime.
Just adds a system that nobody wants as you recognize as an opportunity to buy. Something like PSP games and original Xbox games is a great time to buy them, because not too many people are investing in them, but there's going to be a point in time where people are going to want to go back to those. Especially original Xbox. I actually had a great catalog of games that are locked to that system. A lot of them still don't work on the 360. A lot of them are not being ported over. Just Microsoft, so quickly wiped their hands free of the original Xbox system. They really just, when 360 was announced, Xbox.com became the new web page for the Xbox 360, almost like the original system didn't exist. And a lot of people feel further into that with the new system being called Xbox One. Kind of like drives that original Xbox further down into like this mysterious unknown system that just doesn't exist. But for us it's more about thinking ahead of time. We're not buying stuff for 1 year, we're buying stuff for 5 and 10 years. We've been buying DS games for a long time. GameCube games we bought as much as we could during its discontinuation. You just have to think ahead and find any other way to find it. We can actually seek out people, but we even get calls occasionally from the companies themselves saying, hey, you know, we're looking, we have this many games of this titles, do you know who will buy any of this? You know, and a lot of times it's like, that's us. You know, we're willing to buy whatever they have. Sometimes it's a pallet load, sometimes it's a warehouse load, sometimes it's, you know, just a small amount, but you know, we're able to actually make those arrangements and those deals work.
So this is the most important piece in the entire store. This is the World Championship 1990 Nintendo. I mean, historically we're talking that there exist 96 cartridges like this. In reality, as you see from the number, there are probably more than that. Nobody knows exactly how many, but definitely a very limited amount. And this is the cartridge where they played the World Championship of 1990 from Nintendo. Nintendo organized this World Championship all around the United States. It divided in 3 categories, you know, smaller kids, like teenagers and adults. And pretty much everybody who won one of the state final got 1 copy of this cartridge. They did even some pieces of a gold cartridge that is even more rare. Okay, and it's a combination of 3 games. Super Mario Brothers, there is a Red Racer, and there is a Tetris. Okay, so you have to collect a certain amount of coins in a certain time, and after, you know, you have you have to race, I think 2 or 3 races, and after this there's a timer, so you have a certain time to finish the whole thing, and how many points you can make on Tetris. So this was, you know, another very good way for Nintendo to bring the entire concept of video games and competition video games all over around the United States. So this is a cartridge that wasn't for sale, it was just to play the tournament. But this is what they call the holy grail of video games, you know, so this is like, I mean, the price is very fluctuating, you know, let's see, they go from 8,000–9,000 to, I mean, they offer me up to 17,000 for the cartridge. So, you know, this is a piece of history. It represents a moment in the history of video games where this gigantic event, you know, we call a worldwide event, but in reality it's a United States event that happened. So it's like owning a piece of history, you know, a very important moment in video games. Now I'm going to show you something that doesn't have a gigantic value, but visually it's very important. If I find it. This is a prototype. As you see, it's a Nintendo 64 games, but it's long. Why is long? Because there are different motherboards here. You have the different version of the game, so you could jump from one to another one, and at that point, you know, they discuss and they choose which one it is. So this is represent a piece of history because they show you what there is before the game come out. So this is the, you know, it's not really even the development, but it's the last part of the development of the game. So for us, it's very important that you can see something like that because it makes you feel that you're closer to the process of creating a video game. This is a PS2 developer kit. You know, remember, at today, PS2 is still in the history of the console that sold the most. Even the modern console, any other console didn't sell as much as it sold PS2. And this is the developer kit. So this is like, you know, a computer with the size of, you know, the shape of the PS2. So this is representing a piece of history. This is show you how they're made games. You know, how they make it? They make it something like that. Today we're talking about copying of games or hacking of games. This is the first really serious experience of copying games. You know, that's the reason why Nintendo at the beginning in Japan came out with an attachment for the Famicom. This is the disk system. Okay, so this you can put a floppy disk and play. but the floppy disks were very easy to copy. So everybody was doing bootleg. So that's why they were tapped for the market, and that was the first, you know, big, if you want to, experience on on the manufacturing company of having problem of people who copy games and, you know, resell it for much less. One of the original floppy disk. Yeah, this is a piece of history to see. They're very important. Yeah? This is a floppy disk with a Nintendo name, yellow. This is the one distributed by Sears before Atari came with even one, you know, Atari phone. The end of an era when video games take a step back in the United States. When video games, you know, in the beginning of the 80s, between 83 and 85, video games pretty much disappear from the market in the United States and restart from scratch in Japan. Japan bring back video games after the crash of the market. And it's really Nintendo at the beginning that rebuilt the market in the United States. In the middle of the 80s was so bad, no distribution would take any video game console to sell. Nintendo had to, you know, symbolically start in New York. Nintendo had to convince, you know, retailers to take for the Christmas season or original Nintendo systems, and he had to sign contract that he would take back any single system that was unsold. That's how bad it was. When they launched the Nintendo Entertainment System in New York, there was this problem to convince a retailer to carry, and that's why they did the robot. Why? Because it looks like a toy. So the pitch, the sales pitch for Nintendo was that it goes with a toy. This is a toy. So it's not just video games or software. No, we're talking about the toy business. So that was a very important, this was the piece that convinced a retailer to carry the original NES and to rebring video games to the United States. So, you know, Rob the Robot has this big power that is the one who convinced a retailer to take Nintendo and to restart the video game history in the United States. We're talking about Nintendo. This is a Famicom, okay? And it's for sale because we have a decent amount, but we will always have one at the store for the museum. It's important to understand what was the Nintendo before to come in the US, you know, in the US. You know, it show you where we recreated the new history of video games, you know, after the crisis of the 80s. You know, video games is an American product. It's born in the United States, it's developed in the United States, it's a piece of history in the United States. Nobody capitalized on this gigantic, you know, thing that is there. We're in the United States, we have a video game store, let's make a cultural experience about video games. You know, you can't tell people you know, this is video games New York is a cultural experience about video games if you don't have the culture. So it's very important to maintain certain historical piece that represent the history of video games. So every system has the history, has their iconic game that represent the system. If you want to sell the system, you're going to have the game. If you want to sell the game, you're going to have the system. The whole things go together, and that's the balance you have to keep. So you have to keep a balance on the museum part that has to be there, can be completely empty, and has to have something enough interesting for people to come and discuss about it. And the other thing, you need to have products. This is the important thing. People come here for products. They don't come here just to look. So you need to maintain a gigantic amount of inventory. think about the library. You go to a library, you want to study, what you see? You see an amazing amount of books. Listen, that's the spirit. You're a museum, what is it? You have the pieces that come to you. I want to have the same feeling. You come in a store, you have the games come to you. You're not go there in a card or say, oh, I want to. No, I don't want this distance. I don't want this separate. I want that you are fully immersed on something that you can see, you can feel. I mean, you cannot touch everything, but you can always ask, and someone's going to show you and touch you. So I really wanted this eliminate every single barrier between you and the product, and this piece of culture that you want to have in your hand.